So good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to another scene for the living world of darkness, a rage across New York, where Aiden and Tempoint have returned to Sept. And of course, certain things have fired through the link. But it will be certainly no hidden process as they traverse, I imagine. Well, I guess it doesn't really matter whether it's Umbral or Tellurian, but traverse their way with Aiden carrying the fairly limp and barely breathing body of Dallas to the Cairnheart, probably the safest place to offer their farewells, to have some final words with this person who was at one point pack, but still in some nature family. And so yeah, this is not a hidden procession by any means. Aiden will be walking with her. 10 Point will likely be shadowing behind. Um, at least initially. We'll say it's Umbral just so I can be silly, but probably at least initially in Krynos. And yeah, as they come into the more peaceful, the more serene setting of the Cairn Heart itself, Lotus will take a moment to shift her way down to something more reverent before entering. They've, of course, already been cleansed. And as they move inside, 10 Point will make a point of clearing an area, perhaps even producing one of her shawls from her swag to lay out to just give them a place to lay her.
Yeah, very tenderly, very slowly, Aiden lays Dallas down. Very, very slowly, like cradling her head so position's just right so it's not disturbing her too much.
I will assume that Saoirse came along with 10 Point. Um, and she's just kind of standing there in shock.
Yeah, she will have been able to see, to hear, to know as it took place, and alerted as they came closer and closer to Sept, returning with her, so that she could even be there waiting if she liked. But yeah, she can totally
Okay,
swoop
yeah, yeah,
in.
yeah. Yeah, then she would have been waiting. Just kind of in shock, like she's very tired of losing people.
Colin arrives with a couple bags, a bucket, and a pair of shears. He puts those down kind of, I wouldn't say completely out of sight, but at least they're not like right next to Dallas's head. And observes the situation that she's in, which I imagine is not a very good one.
Dallas lays there, arms looking weak and fingertips turning blue. She's lost a lot of blood. Skin is pallid, and there's a big hole through her neck from which a fair amount of blood has already escaped and is still leaking. Her eyes look glossy, sort of unfocused, and her hair is disheveled and matted with bits of debris from where she fell. Just a mixture of dirt and blood and leaves. And her breathing is ragged and sounds as though it's full of liquid. Sounds like she's slowly but surely going to either expire from blood loss or perhaps just the inability to breathe, as she's probably drowning in some sense. Maybe a bit of both.
Aiden will look over at 10 point and just won't even say anything. Just I'm assuming one of them has her hammer, so he'll just gesture for it.
Oh, yeah, if she had it out, then absolutely. Well, he carried her. 10 point will have carried back the hammer.
He'll take it very slowly, placing it on Dallas, so her fingers clasp around it, and he'll just look at her and just nod slowly, letting her try and get some strength. If she can't, he'll support her by interlocking his fingers with her so she holds on to it.
I'm fairly sure she ended up paralyzed as a result, so he'd probably have to move her hands for her.
Oh yeah, no, he slowly, very deliberately, very carefully, but making sure she dies with weapon in hand.
She
Go ahead.
her eyes just remain unfocused, but they're moving. Her head slightly moving. Pretty much everything from the neck down is unresponsive. There's no feeling. There's just a numbness there. And the only thing that even signifies that there's something on her chest is probably just the slight sensation of a more labored breathing that registers. And she just kind of closed her eyes and laughs a bit. Always go out. Tell me you have enough to grab a hold of a hammer.
Family's here to make sure you have it.
A bit hard to focus. I don't know who's there. Yeah, here a bit, Aiden.
We're with you, Raya. And she'll glance to the other two so that they can audibly confirm their presence.
I'm here.
You still with us, Lindsay?
Barely. I'm gonna try and move around to get a better connection.
Seer should give any sort of indication verbally that she's there, since Dallas seems to be having trouble really seeing and perceiving.
Yeah, she'll just put a hand on her shoulder.
And
Okay.
after a moment, 10 Point will turn a glance to Saoirse and, in a direct blink, will simply ask, Ryan, can you connect us one more time?
Hi, of course. And she'll spend a willpower for mind speak.
If nothing else, it will grant Dallas a greater ability to
connect.
speak, at least to them.
She takes a bit of a breath once that link hits again. And it's almost like just that breath of relief. The little ginger made it.
10 Point will You know, is Colin like lingering way out on the outskirts, or like standing in that awkward in the middle point? Or
So he's at the in the middle point. Y'all have surrounded Dallas, and he is there with his tools.
she'll probably gesture him a bit closer, just because it's kind of weird to have him there on the outskirts, and she'll be echoing audibly anything she says through the link. And naturally, as it opens, there's just that welcoming outpouring. Damn it.
Wasn't expecting it to go like this.
I don't think any of us were.
It's just a sense of affirmation.
Hoping for her. I don't know, a bruise, a scrape, anything. And she did get hers. I can see that much.
It was very brave what you did.
I find it's a lot easier to be brave on the battlefield than it is to be brave in your own life.
It is, Raya.
I didn't have the strength to be the packmate you all deserved.
None of that talk. You kept your honor, Dallas.
There's still a lot of work to be done. I was hoping at least to see this last bit out. You know, to have that much. I don't want to see any of you have to fight and kill our brethren, cousins, our allies.
And Tim Point being at least peripherally aware of the fact that she may well not even be able to feel below her neck has probably reached out and started kind of brushing back strands of hair, tucking them behind her ears, and just kind of, they're not very helpful motions, but they are caring. This is the way the nation has always been, Raya. We'll be this way for a long time more.
Aiden, you've always been the best counter to William's idealism. Take something to the council for me.
Yeah, what is it?
Tell them I want them. If my life meant anything to this sept, they need to amend the bill so this doesn't happen again.
Not. I'll make sure of it. Now, you don't worry about that anymore. What you worry about is how grand an entrance you're going to make.
How many people get to go out saying they actually pissed on the worm?
To make a faint, sad smile.
Aiden will too.
Aiden. You're kingly, Fiona. And you've had more heartache than I can imagine. And while you're abrasive and brash at times, you do have what many need in times like these, to lead. If you see anyone else like me that's straying from their path, do what you can to help them.
A nod, slowly.
Don't be too hard on yourself either.
I'll try.
Saoirse.
Saoirse looks to her.
And keep singing songs. You're only pack mates for a short while, but you were a friend. Almost from the onset when I first really started. Well,
Oh,
internet, why you do this?
Who hurt you?
Was it the FCC?
Two on the nose.
It's topical. There she is.
Yeah, my phone hates me too. So
Well,
okay. So I heard we were pack mates for a short while and then cut out.
we were friends almost from the onset. And just through sort of a private moment between the two and the link, she kind of puts forward the sensation of gratitude she felt for Saoirse covering for her when she was first really starting to get to know Karina and pursuing that. And Saoirse didn't say anything to anyone. And she manages to, get her head moved slightly so she can look Saoirse in the eye, and his tears just kind of roll.
Saoirse will position herself so that she can better look at her too. So
As the tears start flowing freely, she just smiles at Saoirse.
Saoirse tears up and she'll press her forehead to Dallas's. And she'll just sit there for a moment like that. We may have had our differences, but you're still my family.
And I'll make sure that you're never forgotten.
You make the Scalds along the eastern seaboard jealous of me. Because I have to pay Galliard, who sings the most beautiful songs.
She smiles. Thank you.
And she finally takes a few ragged breaths. And she holds one of them in, almost like she doesn't really want to let it go, because she doesn't know if that's going to be the last one, but she finally calm.
I'm here.
Your trailer's pretty cool.
Full of your stuff, too.
Don't you touch any of it. She just kind of smirks a bit at that. Yeah. You watch out for those cups. Because they have a psychopath and are defective as their den parents. They're going to need you.
I'll be there when I can.
I would have liked to have gotten a fight side by side with you more often than I did. I would like to have seen the Foster and the Adrian you become, and to see what kind of alpha you'd be. But you would bring to the urban visual and see how you'd fill those shoes that were left behind.
Whatever comes to pass, comes to pass. Your kin.
They'll get along fine, but they could probably use some help here and there.
All right.
Look out for them. All of you, please look out for them.
Don't doubt for a moment that they will be cared for, Ryan.
Don't go easy on them. And she'll project into 10 points head that she really wants to take 10 points hand. But, you know, there's no movement in that free hand of hers.
She will both reach out so that she can convey, at least through her half, that she is reaching down and taking the cool hand in hers. But at the same time, she will take the other and very, very gently, very gingerly, will put her warm palm on her cheek, just kind of cupping it there so that she can actually feel the sensation.
You and I walked quite an interesting road.
We have, Raya.
You're not the same Metis that I met. You've grown. But you've never lost your way, and you don't let others lose theirs.
And she gives a faint little nod, even knowing that Dallas may not well be able to see it. I've had excellent guidance, Raya.
Learn how to use the fucking sword.
She finally splits again, a very sad smile. I will.
You have resolve. And you're not afraid of anything that comes your way. And yeah, you are the rock for this pack. You're the anchor. And even when I left, you never showed me anything but affection. Even if I didn't deserve it.
You've made me your sister, Raya. That means so much more than any fight we could ever have.
I've never been a very good sibling. But you helped me let go of so much. Better. Because of it.
And with her breath growing fainter, 10-point is leaning down, trying to strengthen the reach through the link. She may not be able to hear her physically, but tries to tap in well enough to hopefully hear what she's intending to say at the very least.
Make sure they hold on.
Always, Raya.
And she sort of grimaces as so her lips begin to foam a bit. It's just that really oxygen-rich blood. It's now just kind of leaking out the sides of her mouth.
Saoirse's gonna move to position Dallas so that her head is in her lap, and she's gonna stroke her hair until she takes her last breath.
10-point will be leaning down just as Saoirse settles. And set her lips very tenderly to Dallas's brow.
Rena keep hold of the hammer so Dallas dies with a weapon in her hand.
Go home, Raya. door in.
Don't forget to tell everybody how you pissed on the worm.
And she's muttering something as with every breath her body kind of shudders and trembles. Light of my people. Back to the beginning. You called me and bid me take my place among them. In the house. In the halls of the brave I live. And she goes quiet. Her eyes close, and the last few wells of tears just cascade down, and her lips curl slightly into a smile, and part has just that last bit of a air, and life just leaves her.
When that happens, Saoirse will make sure to close her eyes and she'll kiss her forehead. Tears streaming down her face.
Just take a breath. 10 point. Prepare the body. Clean it. If you want to help Colin, you can. Saoirse, they need to know. I'll go make the speech to the council and we'll meet back here and I'll bring her out to the woods. We'll all go together. We'll send her home like people would want.
Saoirse will nod. Aye.
You just walk off very coldly, you know?
Yep. 10 point will already be nodding, tears flowing, ignoring them entirely. And at this point, I mean, Colin's brought everything they might need, but in the moment, all she has on hand is her sleeve, and she's just very gingerly, very tenderly wiping away the trails of blood from her mouth, just cleaning her face.
Yeah, Colin takes everything he brought and sets it beside 10 point and goes off to join Aiden.
Cast a very thankful, very grateful expression upwards. Thank you, Henri.
It's one task nobody wants to do, but someone has to. If you hadn't done it, I would have.
You're a good man, Henri.
I haven't been a man in half a year, 10 point. And off he goes.
Then yeah, almost immediately, starting with wiping her face, binding up the seeping wound in the back of her neck, and then brushing clean her hair. 10 point will take her time in preparing the body, cleaning it. Will even go so far in the end as to very painstakingly pay mind to the patterns that Dallas has used in the past to braid up her hair into the most elaborate style that she can never remember her wearing, and set her to rights so that when the others return, she's fully prepared to go the way of her ancestors. And unless there's more to be done, I'll take that silence as a no. And say thank you, players, for playing. Thank you, watchers, for watching. Thank you, Vinny, for playing Dallas for as long as you did and developing her with our characters. And we will see you next time, one and all, in the living world of darkness. Rage Across New York.